this podcast replay is brought to you by VSS West Pines, your one-stop shop for any and all vape and smoke shop needs. When knowledge counts, call 954-613-3367 or visit on social media at VSS West Pines.
All right, we are back, and next week, well, on Sunday, we'll be headed out, not next week, just in a couple of days, a couple hours. We'll be headed out for our 21st year of going to the East-West Shrine game. Looking forward to our NFL draft coverage like we do every single year. Only radio show in the country that goes to the East-West, the Senior Bowl, and the Combine every single year. And our first stop is always at the East-West Shrine game, an exceptional game. Bob Roller is the executive director of the East-West Shrine game. Mr. Roller, good afternoon, my friend. Welcome aboard.
Good afternoon. Bowl season is not over.
No, it's not, sir. No. The really important bowls are starting now because that's where these young men are getting ready to build careers. And that's the exciting part you got to love about these kind of bowl games, because all of a sudden you've gone from a amateur and you're not a pro yet, but you're on a pro stage at this moment, and that's what's really important.
Well, you're right. It's that moment where they finally lose the amateur tag. These young men have finished their eligibility, and their bowl game is behind them, except we do have 4 Clemson and 2 LSU men coming our way after the game. But besides those 6 guys, their eligibility is over, and now it becomes a job interview this week down in St. Petersburg.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. It's my 21st year covering it.
Right.
Bob, I've gone from San Fran to San Antonio to Houston to Orlando and Tampa, and as a Miami guy, I got to tell you something, Bob. I want to thank you for, as the years went on, you just kept bringing it closer and closer to me here in Miami. So, all we got left is just move it on down here to Miami, and I'm good. That's it.
Well, in a previous life of mine, back in the 80s, I worked for the Orange Bowl Committee, and my office was Gate 7 of the old OB Stadium. So
Nice.
I have a very soft spot for that area.
Oh, there you go. Hey, man, the OB. I plenty of games there with my dad. Rest in peace. Back in the day. I'm looking. That's one of those that those are memories that will last forever. Being in that Orange Bowl. So, Bob, this year, you guys have to be really excited. I thought you guys got a really nice list of players this year, and you just talked about some of the LSU Clemson kids that you're getting.
Well, you're right. We really do. And we've heard from the NFL scouts this year that this is probably the best roster we've put together in the past 5 to 6 years. They're loaded with wide receiver talented, as the NFL, of course, is going 5 wide and throwing it so much. It's hard to find a fullback these days. But we do have a few men that still put their hand in the ground, like that Bo Schembechler used to say. But we have a great group. We have over 350 NFL scouts that are going to start rolling in here Saturday. The NFL has chosen the coaches for both teams, and then people such as Scott Paoli and Dave Wanstead and Bill Polian are coming in from the NFL as advisors. We really have tied ourselves closely with the NFL and have made it a proving ground for them as they spend the week in St. Pete.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things I got to tell you, Bob, that stood out to me. I thought, this year's group was, right there. That I was thinking, again, I've gone to it a lot. This is one of the better groups that you've been able to put together, and how's the challenge been for these bowl games compared to the regular bowl games that these young men are stepping out and stepping away from, and they're not playing with their schools? But here it doesn't look like really we've lost a lot because of this being the next step to the professional level.
Right. It's we only take seniors, and so it is a situation where we study it all throughout this past spring. Already I'm starting to look at next year's senior class. And we only work through the head coach and the director of football operations in the fall to try to just get the word out that they're on our watch list and vice versa. And it's only now that they've signed with agents since their last bowl game or their eligibility has expired that agents are more involved. But it's a process that goes from amateur to professional as we're the segue for it. So it's pretty interesting to see that happen. But they recruit us. We recruit them. It's somewhat like when they were high school seniors all over again.
Yeah, no, I'm with you now, and I think has it become a little easier because we have lesser bowl games than we had, let's say, 10, 20 years ago. There were a lot more postseason bowl games. Does that make life a little easier for you guys, Bob?
Yes, it is. It has become a lot easier in that we are able to go out on site and see the games so much more often, and also as well to be at these bowl games. There used to be 7 or 8 bowl games, and now there are 25, 30 of them.
Yeah, no, it's back in the day. I remember I used to go to the Gridiron Classic, the Las Vegas Football Classic. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them that we used to have back in the day in the off season outside of the regular bowl games, and that's why. But this is, and I don't think people realize that the East-West Shrine is the oldest one out of all these postseason bowl games, right? If I'm correct, I think it's older than the Senior Bowl, right? Correct?
It began in 1925. You're correct. It is the oldest college all-star game consecutively running. This will be our 95th year. And as you know, for all 95 of these years, every single ounce of our effort has been to support Shriners Hospitals for Children.
That's right.
Which is what really has differentiated ourselves from all other all-star games is our charity aspect and the fact that Sunday of this week, all of the all-stars will join us for a visit in Tampa to our Shriners Hospitals in Tampa. And that is quite a highlight. As we always say, the guys walk into the hospital as the heroes, and as they leave, the patients and the kids they've met are the heroes.
Yeah, and that's the part, Bob, that's got to just make you feel absolutely amazing with the impact that these young men are making on these kids. And they may not know most of these players, but when they walk away, they are different people, or these kids are different because of it, and it's just a different kind of experience. But then, every time you talk to these players, they're different because of it, because they kind of get a dose of reality in all of this, because it makes you feel like, okay, you know what, my life is great, but look at this young child and look what he or she is going through, and it just, kind of beats you up a little bit. But here's a moment where you can make their lives a little better.
We visited this year with 3 quarterbacks throughout the year while we were on the road scouting these teams that are alums of the Shrine Bowl. And it was Tom Brady, Roger Staubach, and John Elway, all former alums of our game. And there wasn't a player there that could tell you much about the game or how it went, or they usually can tell you every play that was called and they won 20-16. They all were talking about the hospital visit, and at least 2 of them had met a child then that is now 35, 45 years old. So you're exactly right. I will say on Tom Brady's end, though, he was on the bubble of being drafted, and he had a very good East-West Shrine game in '99, which led to the Scott Paoli and the New England Patriots drafting Brady in the 6th round.
Right, and by the way, they drafted Garoppolo too, who started at the East-West Shrine game, then got the invite at the Senior Bowl, and that's kind of how it took off. But it took off because at the East-West is where he made his name, and then went on to star or to play for the New England Patriots, and obviously we're seeing him star now for the San Francisco 49ers. Which that's the other thing. To me, and I haven't gotten all the info yet, but you got quite a few players in this game that I think are going to be drafted. Okay, and you might have a couple that are sneaking into the 3rd round.
That's exactly right. In the old days of the Shrine Bowl, the top 10 draft picks would be in our game. Mm-hmm. And as you know all too well, those days are gone. They're not playing anymore, or they're juniors. They're coming out early. But what we find and why the scouts are here in such massive numbers is that the lion's share of our players will go third to sixth round. There'll be some on the first day and some on the second round, but the lion's share will go third to sixth round, including some undrafted free agents. But that's why it's so important here for the time. They're interviewed throughout the week, both with tests as well as athletic tests. The scouts come to the hotel and request to meet with them for an interview, just one-on-one in street clothes.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. And, Bob, we're going to be out all week over there at the team hotel. We're going to be setting up, and so I hope to have you on again during the week. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you is you talked about how you're going after all seniors. Will you adjust down the line? Do you think you're going to adjust the way the Senior Bowl has, that they're now taking in fourth-year juniors or guys that are graduate? Are you going to adjust to that yourself?
Well, currently, the reason we don't is that's the NFL's preference. And
right.
with our alignment with the NFL, that is why. So that could evolve as the years go on, and it's not, especially if their eligibility has expired. And for instance, Tony Jones from Notre Dame is in our game this year.
Yes, he is.
He's graduated already, and he has received his diploma. But he would have had one extra year at Notre Dame, but he chose to come out. So we're able to take him. But the average junior that has only been there 3 years but still comes out, at the moment, by following along with the NFL's wishes, that's why we do not.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. Bob Roller, the executive director of the East-West Shrine Game. Bob, if folks want to maybe get tickets, make their way on down to the East-West Shrine Game, what do they got to do?
Well, it's very simple. We have a website that is shrinebowl.com. This year, the game's name was changed to the East-West Shrine Bowl. Nothing's changed except game turned into bowl. But the players had asked that over the past few years. And so all of our logos and our new equipment, and this year will mark that new deal. It's only $15, and there's children this year. We're having a fun zone on the field in pregame where all children and families are invited down to the field so they can be on the same field where the players are out in the outfield of Tropicana. And like I said, it's only $15 for adults, and it's at shrinebowl.com.
There you go. He is Bob Roller, executive director of the East-West Shrine Game. Bob, we'll see you in a couple days, my friend. Look forward to having you on again.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
You got it. There you go. Bob Roller, executive director of the East-West Shrine Game. Go to the website, shrinegame.com, and right in the front of the page, it'll say buy game tickets, and you can go in there. And also they've got tickets for the Hall of Fame reception tickets, because they'll have players that they induct players into their own East-West Shrine Hall of Fame. And I think this year, let me see, they're putting in Will Shields and Dan Pastorini. How about that? A little bit of a flashback for the Oilers. Dan Pastorini.
Handing off to Earl Campbell.
Yes, Dan Pastorini, man. And Will Shields was a hell of a lineman for the Chiefs for a long time. A monster human being, dude. So, yeah, it says it here. East-West Shrine Game, college football's oldest all-star game announced today. NFL legends Will Shields and Dan Pastorini will be inducted into the East-West Shrine Hall of Fame on the evening of the 17th during the Players Hall of Fame reception presented by More DM Group the night before the game. There you go. And they've had Walter Payton in this game, John Elway, Tom Brady, Roger Staubach, Brett Favre, Tony Dungy, Lawrence Taylor, Larry Zonka, just a couple of guys that played in this game.
It's a hell of a list, man. Every guy like an all-timer.
Right. Yeah.